Chapter 501. Chapter 501. Please, please let me live, I am willing to be a cow and a horse for you. Feng Yi cried bitterly, and knelt in front of David, the head of the Feng family in the mountain city, but at this time kneeled in front of David like a grandson. Song Tai looked at this scene, and for some reason, he felt a little sad. She doesn't understand why these people are fighting for their own interests, but in the end they end up in ruins. If it was me who was kneeling on the ground at this time, would you let me go? David said lightly. Feng Yi was taken aback for a moment, slowly raised his head to look at David, and then slowly shook his head. If David was kneeling on the ground begging for mercy at this time, he would definitely not let David go. David smiled coldly and slapped it down with a palm, instantly bursting Feng Yi's head. Seeing this, the rest of the Feng family fled in fright, but how could David let them escape? The figure flashed, and then there was a burst of screams. In just a few minutes, everyone in the Feng family turned into corpses. Seeing David's ruthless appearance, Song Zud swallowed hard and secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, he didn't offend David too much yesterday, otherwise the Song family would have to follow the Feng family. Song Zud, I did what I promised you, and I hope you don't break your promise. David said, bending over to pick up a spiritual stone and handing it to Song Zud. You should arrange for someone to pick this stone out immediately. Send it back to the mountain city. Yes, yes, yes. Song Zud didn't dare to ask, he did what David explained. Wudong, you can take over the mines of the Feng family. You know this one anyway. David looked at Wu Dongdao. Okay, Mr. Chen. Wudong nodded. Lu Chengyan on the side was trembling all over. If David asked for their Lu family's ore veins at this time, he wouldn't even dare to let go. But David didn't ask for the Lu family's ore vein, but after the explanation, he headed down the mountain. Lu Chengyan wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and breathed a sigh of relief. The group walked to the edge of the Devil's Forest, and when they were about to go down the mountain, they found that Master Guo and his disciples hadn't left yet. It turned out that they didn't have a guide, so they didn't dare to enter it rashly, so they kept waiting. Seeing Song Zud and his party coming, Master Guo was a little surprised. Mr. Song, are you? Master Guo wanted to ask how Song Zud and the others escaped, but he didn't know how to speak. Song Zud gave Master Guo a cold look and said, Feng Yi has been killed by Mr. Chen, and there will be no Feng family in the mountain city in the future. What? Master Guo looked at David in surprise. What about Master Ma? HMPH, of course Master Ma was also killed by Mr. Chen. Song Zud snorted coldly. How is that possible? That Master Ma is. You can't, that's because your skills aren't as good as others. Mr. Chen killed Master Ma with ease. If you don't have real skills in the future, don't be ashamed. After Song Zud finished speaking, he hurried to David's side. Mr. Chen, please slow down. Looking at the backs of Song Zud and the others, Master Guo was embarrassed, but he still followed behind and walked down the mountain. Back in the mountain city, Song Zud directly invited David to his home, but he wouldn't let David stay in a hotel. David did not refuse, and asked Song Zud to find himself a separate villa, because David had to be undisturbed in order to cultivate. After Song Zud settled David, he did not dare to slack off, and hurriedly sent someone to transport the stone that David wanted down from the mountain. The next day, there were a lot of pebble-like spirit stones piled up in the courtyard of the villa where David was. Looking at these spirit stones, the corner of David's mouth raised. Maybe he could rely on these spirit stones to break through this time. It's time for Inidia. Chapter 502. If he can really break through to the Bigu period and go to Wuming Island again, David will be full of information. After all, Irvin asked him to reach the Foundation establishment period before July 15th, and then go to Wuming Island. Maybe even Irvin did not think of David. The training speed will be so fast. David, you don't want any gems. What do you want such a pile of broken stones? Song Tai walked into the courtyard of David's villa and asked in confusion. You don't understand, these are broken stones to you, but treasures to me. David smiled lightly. I don't understand you. Song Tai rolled his eyes, and then said, my dad asked me to tell you, that's all for the time being. I don't know if there are any more underground mining. If there is still more below, my dad will send someone to bring it to you. Well, I see, I'm going to practice in the next few days, you'd better not disturb me. David said to Song Tai. Oh. Song Tai's face was a little disappointed, he turned around and walked out. David knew what Song Zud meant. He always asked Song Tai to come over to convey news to him, and he asked Song Tai to deliver food to him, just to make some sparks with Song Tai, but David already had Sonia. I won't let her down. Song Tai walked back. David sat cross-legged, looked at the mountain-like spiritual stone in front of him, and felt the spiritual energy like the vast ocean. David began to practice. David devoured such a huge amount of spiritual energy, hungry and thirsty, and every pore of his body opened, absorbing it unscrupulously, and in David's Dantian, the concentration technique worked to the maximum, constantly refining the absorbed spiritual energy. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The spirit stones are decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. David closed his eyes slightly. He has long forgotten about the world, and even the time has been forgotten. While David was practicing, Sonia in the provincial capital was bored in the villa every day. Lin Tianyu and Chifeng arranged a large number of people around the villa to protect Sonia, and even Bai Zontang went to the provincial capital in person. Since David explained it before he left, Bai Zontang would not dare to be sloppy. Fortunately, there is Ji Yulinger to accompany every day, so that Sonia will not be suffocated to death. This David has been gone for a few days, and he hasn't come back. He hasn't even heard from him, and no one has answered his calls. I wonder if something happened. Sonia frowned, a little worried about David. Don't worry, your David is so talented, what can happen? Don't be entangled by some little girl, you must know that he is very popular with little girls. Ji Yulinger joked to Sonia. I think you like him too. Sonia looked at Ji Yulinger and asked. You, what are you talking about? I don't like him. Although Ji Yulinger said this, her face turned red. Haha, you also said that you don't like him, your face is red, if you like him, I will give him to you. Sonia laughed and joked with Sonia. Seeing Sonia say this, Ji Yulinger's face turned cold. Sonia, you can't make such a joke in the future. You can find a boyfriend like David, you should know how to cherish it. In fact, a good person like David, every time every girl will like it, and I also want to find a boyfriend like him, but unfortunately my life is not as good as yours, so you have to cherish what you have now, don't talk nonsense. Sonia also put away her smile and took Ji Yulinger's hand. Linger, don't worry, I believe you will definitely find a boyfriend you like, maybe even better than David. Ji Yulinger smiled. You don't have to comfort me, my heart is dead. Ji Yulinger said, looking out the window, her heart was broken by that Qin Feng. Chapter 503. Linger, don't think about that guy, he's not worth your sorrow for him at all. Sonia knew that Ji Yulinger remembered the sad things she had with Qin Feng before. Ji Yulinger smiled. How could I still miss him? I just can't believe a man now. Sonia smiled helplessly. She didn't know how to persuade Ji Yulinger. After the girl's heart was broken, it was difficult for her to recover. At this moment, there was a loud shout from outside. Who are you? This is a private place, please leave quickly. The people guarding the Chifeng faction outside shouted loudly. Who's here? Sonia asked with a strange face. I don't know, let's go out and see. Ji Yulinger pulled Sonia up and walked out. At the moment outside the villa door, 6 people are quietly looking at the guards outside the villa. One of them is Qin Feng, and on Qin Feng's side, there is a guy with long hair, sloppy inside, like a savage. Uncle Wolf, that kid lives here. Qin Feng said to the savage-like guy beside him, this person is the savage wolf who came with Qin Feng. Well, go in and have a look, I really want to smell a woman. The wild wolf sniffed his nose, and suddenly there was a flash of light in his eyes. Uncle Wolf's nose is really amazing. There are 2 beautiful girls in this villa, and they are both virgins. Qin Feng smiled at the wild wolf. Ha ha ha, your kid is not bad, I know Uncle Wolf likes this, I'll catch that kid for you in a while, and let you handle it. The wild wolf laughed and walked towards the villa, as if returning to his own home. He didn't take those guards seriously at all. Stop, if we don't stop, we'll start. When the guards saw this, they showed their weapons one after another, and their expressions became nervous. A group of things that don't know how to live or die, don't let them go. Qin Feng roared angrily, then waved his hand, and the 4 Qin family masters jumped up behind him. Before several guards could react, their throats were cut by shopping mode sharp weapons, and they all died on the spot. Hearing the movement, Lin Tianyu and Kai Feng had already rushed out with people. When they saw the corpse on the ground, Lin Tianyu and Kai Feng were both shocked, and then dozens of people surrounded Qin Feng and the others. Who are you? Dare to kill people here? Lin Tianyu frowned. Is David inside? Let him get out, and say that I, Qin Feng, are back for revenge. Qin Feng glanced coldly at Lin Tianyu. Dao. Mr. Chen is not here. You broke into the house and killed our people. Don't think about leaving today. Lin Tianyu's face was gloomy, and one hand firmly grasped the knife in his hand. At this time, Chifeng's face was ugly, and her brows were tightly twisted together. She could feel that the strength of the few people in front of her was very strong, especially the sloppy guy, whose strength was unfathomable. Let's go. Did we say go? I won't go whether that David is there or not. Qin Feng raised the corner of his mouth. This time, Lin Tianyu had nothing to say, the knife in his hand lightly, and he was about to rush up with the knife. Who knew that? Qifeng grabbed Lin Tianyu and gave him a wink before saying to Qin Feng, "This son, I don't know how Mr. Chen offended the son, and now that Mr. Chen is not here, it's better for the son to stay. Name and wait for Mr. Chen to come back. I will tell Mr. Chen, let him come to the door and apologize to the son." Qifeng, how can you ask Mr. Chen to apologize? When Lin Tianyu heard this, he was a little anxious. However, Kai Feng ignored him, and said to Qin Feng with a smile on his face, "Although you are old, your appearance is really good, and you can speak well. If you play with my Uncle Wolf, maybe I can follow your advice." Qin Feng looked at Kai Feng with a wicked smile. Chapter 504. Although Qifeng is older, she is still a virgin and has never been touched by a man, so she is well maintained and looks like a girl in her 20s. Qifeng's face was slightly cold, but he recovered quickly and said with a smile, "This son is joking, I am a half-old wife, who can look after me. If the son needs a girl, I can find 10 or 8 for the son, and they are guaranteed to be big girls." Qifeng endured the anger in her heart and could only try her best to please Qin Feng, because Qifeng knew that the strength of these people was not the opponent of the few people in front of her, not because Qifeng was afraid of death, but because of Sonia and Ji Yuling children are still inside. If there is a conflict, they are not afraid to die, but no one is protecting Sonia. Damn, I cut you down. Qifeng could bear it, but Lin Tianyu couldn't bear it anymore. How could he say that Qifeng was also his woman? Seeing his own woman being taken lightly by other men, he couldn't bear it if he was a man. Lin Tianyu headed towards Qin Feng with a machete. Since he ate the big Huan pill given by David, Lin Tianyu's strength has also improved by leaps and bounds. A machete is a tiger, and the speed is extremely fast. Seeing Lin Tianyu attacking him, Qin Feng raised the corner of his mouth. "You haven't even reached the realm of a grandmaster, yet you dare to do it with me. You are beyond your own power." With that said, Qin Feng flew up and kicked Lin Tianyu out. Lin Tianyu's body slammed hard against the gate, knocking the gate down, and a trace of blood dripped from the corner of Lin Tianyu's mouth. If he hadn't taken Da Huan Dan, Lin Tianyu's physical fitness would have increased a lot. I'm afraid that Qin Feng's kick would have killed Lin Tianyu long ago. The sudden collapse of the door directly shocked Sonia and Ji Yulinger. The two of them wanted to come out to have a look, but they saw that the door suddenly collapsed. Qin Feng. Ji Yulinger couldn't help but exclaimed after seeing Qin Feng with a sneer. Sonia also saw Qin Feng at this time, and her expression tightened. Ji Yulinger, I didn't expect you to be here too. No wonder Uncle Wolf felt the scent of two women inside. I didn't expect you to fall into that David's plaything. Qin Feng looked at Ji Yulinger with contempt and said. When Ji Yulinger heard this, her face immediately turned red, and then she said with anger, Qin Feng, you ba five-tard, what are you talking about? If I knew this, I should have let David trample you to death. Ji Yulinger's words suddenly made Qin Feng furious. As the eldest young master of the Qin family, this is a shame in his life. Now Ji Yulinger directly opened his scars in front of everyone. HMPH, let that David get out, I'm here to tear him into pieces today. Qin Feng roared. Qin Feng, you still want to kill David just because of your 2 strokes? Have you forgotten how you lied on the ground and begged for mercy some time ago? Ji Yulinger was still irritating Qin Feng with her words. Qin Feng's plaything just now made Ji Yulinger completely angry. I'm going to arrest the 2 of you, and let you have a good taste of what it's like to die, and then let you see if I can kill that David. Qin Feng roared and said to his subordinates, catch those 2 women, don't kill them. The 4 Qin family masters nodded, and then jumped towards Sonia and Ji Yulinger. Stop them, never let them hurt Miss Su. Seeing this, Qifeng roared and walked directly towards the 4 Qin family masters. Dozens of guards also showed their weapons one after another, protecting them directly in front of Sonia and Ji Yulinger. Many people started to attack the 4 Qin family masters. Lin Tianyu also struggled to get up at this time, gritted his teeth, and charged forward with a knife. Chapter 505. The 4 masters of the Qin family are all the masters of the master, and Qifeng and the others, only Qifeng is the master. Whether it is Lin Tianyu or the guards, all of them are just great achievements in internal strength. How can they be the opponents of the master? Qifeng alone fought hard against the 2 masters of the Qin family, while the other 2 followed Lin Tianyu and the others in a melee. Qifeng looked at her heart and was just anxious, and she was barely supporting herself, and there was no way to help Lin Tianyu and the others. Chin Feng looked at the scene in front of him, and the corner of his mouth raised slightly. That David is not small, but he is a bunch of waste. Just when Chin Feng was complacent, a figure suddenly flashed past. The masters of the Qin family who were wanton killing those guards were instantly knocked out by the figure, and they all spit out blood and were seriously injured. Seeing this, the two masters of the Qin family who were fighting with Chifeng hurriedly retreated to Qin Feng's side. Bai Zantang, why did you do something to my Qin family? Qin Feng looked at the person who came, and suddenly he couldn't stop talking. Bai Zantang, dressed in a white suit, said coldly and arrogantly, Qin Feng, I'll protect the people here. You don't want to be my enemy of the Bai family, so you should go. You guaranteed it. Qin Feng frowned, then the corners of his mouth raised, and he sneered, don't you just want to get the jade pendant? Don't pretend to be in front of me, do you guarantee it? If you don't want to die, give it to you. I'm going away. Qin Feng, do you really dare to be my enemy of the Bai family? Bai Zantang's face turned cold. Ba, what if you are the enemy of the Bai family? My dad will be out of the country soon, and then your Bai family will be a piece of shish. Qin Feng spat fiercely. Court death. Bai Zantang glared angrily, and slapped Qin Feng with a palm. The wild wolf beside Qin Feng was about to take action when he saw this, but was stopped by Qin Feng. Uncle Wolf, I will fight this kid first. Qin Feng said, and rushed up in one vertical step. Bai Zantang and Qin Feng were evenly matched in strength, both of which were the strength of the 7th rank Grandmaster. When the two fought together, they would fight hundreds of moves in an instant. For a while, the dust was flying, covering the sky and the sun. Looking at the scene in front of him, Lin Tianyu's face became more and more ugly. He felt that his strength was too far behind, and even that Chifeng was shocked. From the family, at a young age, he has reached the strength of the 7th rank Grandmaster, which is higher than her strength. Bang! Suddenly, after a muffled sound, the figures of the two separated, and both took 3 steps back. Bai Zantang's face was very ugly, a little pale, and although Qin Feng had a sneer on his face, his breath was obviously out of balance. Bai Zantang, if it's just you, you won't be able to stop me. Qin Feng said with a sneer. Qin Feng, even if I die today, I won't let you touch them. Bai Zantang's face is firm, this matter is related to the foundation of the entire Bai family for hundreds of years. If Bai Zantang rescued Sonia this time, then David would definitely owe him a favor, owe their Bai family a favor, and make a cultivator owe a favor, then the Bai family can rest easy in the future. HMPH, then I will fulfill you. Qin Feng snorted coldly, looked at the wild wolf and said, Uncle Wolf, abolish this kid. Qin Feng just let the wild wolf destroy Bai Zantang, but he did not dare to let the wild wolf kill Bai Zantang, because he also knew that if he really killed Bai Zantang, the Bai family would fight with the Qin family at all costs. If the fish died and the net was broken, it was not cheap for other families in Kyoto. No problem. The wolf nodded. After finishing speaking, the whole person disappeared in a flash, and in an instant, he arrived in front of Bai Zantang. Bai Zantang was startled, but before he could react, he was hit on the shoulder by the wolf's palm and flew out. Chapter 506. Grandmaster. Bai Zantang looked at the wild wolf in shock. He didn't expect Qin Feng to bring a great master. If he knew this, Bai Zantang should have brought a master from the family. Little baby, go back to your Bai family obediently, and don't get involved in things here. After the wild wolf finished speaking, he looked at Sonia and Ji Yulinger slyly. 2 little girls, your Uncle Wolf is here, don't worry, I will be very gentle. Seeing the wolf like that, both Sonia and Ji Yulinger turned pale with fright, and they cuddled together. Miss Su, Miss Ji Yu, run quickly. Seeing this, Chifeng suddenly slapped the wild wolf with a palm, and asked Sonia and Ji Yulinger to flee quickly. She knew that she was not the wolf's opponent and could not stop him. HMPH, you are too old, I don't like it. Facing the Chifeng who came with a palm, the wild wolf snorted coldly, and with a wave of his hand, the Chifeng flew out. Before Sonia and Ji Yulinger had time to escape, the wild wolf stood in front of them with a flickering figure. You old rascal. Ji Yulinger was furious, gritted her teeth, and used all her strength to hit the wolf. Bang. Ji Yulinger had also practiced, but hitting the wild wolf was like hitting an iron plate, and the shock made his arm go numb, but the wild wolf didn't feel the slightest. Ha ha ha, just like tickling, you are too weak. The wild wolf said, grabbed Ji Yulinger's wrist as soon as he stretched out his hand, and then gently pulled Ji Yulinger into his arms. Ba 5 tard, let me go. Ji Yulinger struggled desperately. Uncle Wolf, can you leave this woman to me, he is my former fiancé, Ji Yulinger. Seeing that the wild wolf was about to attack Ji Yulinger, Qin Feng hurriedly said loudly. He himself wanted to play Ji Yulinger first. Hearing this, the wolf hesitated for a while, and finally threw Ji Yulinger to Qin Feng. Okay, this is for you, I want the rest. After the wild wolf finished speaking, he looked at Sonia, who was pale and shivering, and grabbed it. What? Sonia screamed in fright and covered her eyes directly. But just when the wild wolf's hand was about to catch Sonia, suddenly the jade pendant on Sonia's body emitted a burst of red light, and the overwhelming aura rushed towards the wild wolf. The wild wolf was horrified, and instinctively stepped back, but it was still too late. Now, he was directly knocked out by the red light, and fell heavily on the ground. Uncle Wolf. Seeing this, Qin Feng hurriedly handed Ji Yulinger over to his subordinates, and ran over to help the wild wolf up. What a terrifying power. The wild wolf is in shock. Uncle Wolf, this woman is carrying the Yin family's spirit tool, and I was also injured by this spirit tool at the time. Qin Feng explained to the wolf. Sure enough, it's a good thing. It seems that to get this thing, we have to think of other countermeasures. The wild wolf nodded, and then continued, let's go, it seems that David is really not there, when he comes back, I will avenge you, and then find a way to get the magic weapon. Qin Feng could only nod his head, David was not there, and now they can't get the spiritual tool, so they can only leave first. But this time, it was a worthwhile trip. After catching Ji Yulinger, Qin Feng imagined that after going back for a while, he would be able to be cool and unrestrained. You let Linger go. Seeing that Qin Feng was going to take Ji Yulinger away, Sonia hurriedly shouted. Qin Feng sneered, if you want me to let her go, let David come over and apologize to me in person. Maybe I will be merciful. Remember, we will wait for him at the Wangjia Hotel. After speaking, Qin Feng left with Ji Yulinger. Chapter 507. At this time, David, who was still cultivating in the Song family villa in the mountain city, when the jade pendant on Sonia was activated, his body trembled, and his eyes that had not been opened for 3 days suddenly opened. David's brows were wrinkled, and his face was a little anxious. Looking at the hill-like spirit stones, there was only a small pile left, but David's strength did not increase much. His strength has reached the 5th floor of the Foundation establishment. Originally, David thought that he would be able to reach the Inidia period. It seems that the increase in this level will increase the demand for spiritual energy exponentially. Wudong, Wudong. David roared loudly, he knew that Sonia was in danger, and he wanted to return to Zhongbei provincial capital immediately. Soon someone from the Song family pushed the door and walked in. It seemed that they had been waiting outside for a long time. Mr. Chen, young Master Wu is busy mining mines, and he is not here. The servant hurriedly followed David and said. What about your master? David asked. Just as David finished speaking, he saw Song Zud hurried over with Song Tai. Mr. Chen, are you finished practicing? Seeing David awake, Song Zud immediately said excitedly, now the newly discovered veins have been drilled and excavated, but it will take some time to see results. The stones that Mr. Chen needs will have to wait a few days. I have something urgent to go back to Zhongbei provincial capital, prepare a car for me immediately. David's face was full of anxiety, and cold sweat could already be seen on his forehead. Seeing David's anxious look, Song Zud didn't dare to be slighted, so he said, Mr. Chen, I have a private helicopter. If Mr. Chen is in a hurry, he can go back by helicopter. That's great. David was overjoyed. He didn't expect the mine owner to be so arrogant and even have a private jet. Soon, after the helicopter was ready, David got on the helicopter and went straight to Zhongbei provincial capital. Song Tai looked at David, his eyes did not take back for a long time. Seeing his daughter's appearance, Song Zud patted Song Ti's shoulder. Daughter, Mr. Chen is not something in the pool. If he can see you, that's your destiny. Song Tai nodded. I will work hard. On the other side, Sonia was protected by hundreds of people in the room. Kai Feng and Lin Tianyu were both injured. Fortunately, David gave them a big repayment of pills, which greatly enhanced their physical fitness, so it was not a big problem. Bai Zontang relied on the identity of the young master of the Bai family, and the wolf didn't do anything serious, so Bai Zontang was only slightly injured, and nothing happened at all. Ji Yulinger was taken away. Sonia's mood is very low, she doesn't know what Ji Yulinger is suffering now, but for Bai Zontang, Ji Yulinger's being taken away has no effect on him, he wants to protect him. It was Sonia, not Ji Yulinger. David, why haven't you come back? Linger has been arrested. She must be spoiled by Qin Feng now. With Linger's temperament, she will definitely not be alive. Come back and save her. Sonia was in the room, praying constantly. Buzzing. Suddenly, there was a roar in the sky outside, and a helicopter hovered over the villa with a very low attitude. Mr. Chen, here we are, I'll find a place to land. The driver said to David. No need. David opened the helicopter door. Mr. Chen, the height is still 100 meters, if. Before the driver's words were finished, David jumped down, which scared the driver stupid. And Bai Zontang below, after hearing the sound of the helicopter, looked up and saw a black shadow falling from the sky. Boom. After a loud bang, a big pit was smashed into the bluestone floor of the villa, and the shattered bluestone flew everywhere. Chapter 508. The smoke cleared away, and David's proud figure stood in it. Chen, Mr. Chen. Bai Zontang was going to be frightened. He jumped out of the plane. Is he still human? Yes, a cultivator. David is a cultivator. He is an immortal, not a human. Bai Zontang reacted, and the admiration for David in his eyes became even stronger. Did something happen to Sonia? David asked with a cold face. No, Miss Su is here, in the room. Bai Zontang is a dignified brother of the Bai family in the capital. At this moment, he speaks stutteringly, without the demeanor of everyone. David rushed directly into the room, and Sonia also heard the movement, and was about to get up to check when she saw David rushing in. David. Seeing that it was David, Sonia burst into tears and plunged into David's arms. What happened? David hugged Sonia and gently tapped her shoulder. Why did you only come back now? Linger was taken away. She was taken away by that Qin Feng. They said they wanted you to kneel down and apologize before you let go of Linger. I'm afraid that Linger has been tortured by now. After that Qin Feng's poisonous hand, then Qin Feng is a beast. Sonia cried and said. Qin Feng. David's killing intent suddenly rose up, and even Bai Zontang, who was outside, felt this murderous intent, and couldn't help but tremble. Lin Tianyu and Kai Feng felt this killing intent, and they were overjoyed. They knew that David was back, and immediately helped each other out of the room. Sonia, stop crying, tell me where they took Linger. I will definitely save her. David asked Sonia. Wangjia Hotel. When Qin Feng left, he was talking about this place. Sonia said. Wangjia Hotel. David nodded. Okay, I see, you can stay at home with peace of mind, I will be back soon. David let go of Sonia, turned around and was about to leave the room. Lin Tianyu and Chifeng walked in with the help of one hand. Seeing that David had come back, they all said with shame, Mr. Chen, we are incompetent. Okay, needless to say, I know it. David interrupted the two of them. David knew the strength of the two of them. Will come by itself. Lin Tianyu, when I come back, I will help you step into the Master Realm. David is now at the 5th floor of the Foundation building. Although he has not been able to enter the Bigu period, it is still very simple to help Lin Tianyu enter the Master Realm. If you practice alone, it will be even more difficult to enter the Master Realm. Some people may not be able to enter the Master Realm after practicing for a lifetime. Thank you, Mr. Chen, Lin Tianyu immediately said with joy. Mr. Chen, do you want me to accompany you? Bai Zontang asked David. No, you just need to stay here. David waved his hand, walked out of the villa alone, and walked towards Wangjia Hotel. As the sun sets in the west, the afterglow of the setting sun illuminates David's shadow very long, very long. At this moment, in a certain room in Wangjia Hotel, Ji Yulinger's eyes were full of tears, and her eyes were staring at the ceiling. She was tired of crying and scolding, and her whole body was numb. She was already heartbroken. She knew that if she fell into Qin Feng's hands, that would be a sheep into the tiger's mouth, and there would be no more hope. So she gave up the struggle and just waited for Qin Feng to vent her animalistic desires. She would only commit suicide if she had the slightest chance, and she would not be living in the world. You're shouting, screaming. You don't scream, you're like a dead person, with nothing at all. Qin Feng shouted at Ji Yulinger loudly, but Ji Yulinger didn't seem to hear it, the whole person was like a puppet. Chapter 509. Qin Feng, hurry up, kid, you are babbling. At this time, the wolf's voice came from outside the door. Uncle Wolf, wait a moment, soon. Qin Feng didn't dare to write on the ink, and hurriedly took off his clothes, and then rushed up to undress Ji Yulinger. Ji Yulinger didn't move, and let Qin Feng take off his clothes one by one, the tears in his eyes had already wet the sheets. It's really white, it's really slippery. You said why I didn't find it long ago, such a fair skin and a charming figure are simply the best in the world. Qin Feng's hand slid gently on Ji Yulinger's face, and helped Ji Yulinger wipe away her tears. Ji Yulinger turned her head to the side, she didn't want to see Qin Feng's disgusting look. However, Qin Feng directly squeezed Ji Yulinger's chin with his hand and made her face him, staring straight at Ji Yulinger. Little baby, it may hurt for a while, but you will be fine soon. Qin Feng looked at Ji Yulinger with a wicked smile, and then gently K. Ssed Ji Yulinger's mouth. Ji Linger, who was originally dumb and motionless, suddenly opened his mouth and bit Qin Feng's nose. What? Qin Feng let out a shrill roar, pinched Ji Linger's mouth, and then pulled out his nose. But even so, Qin Feng's nose was bitten, and blood kept flowing out. Qin Feng, what's wrong? The wolf asked outside. Uncle Wolf, it's all right. Qin Feng said. He couldn't let the wild wolf see his embarrassment, or it would be too embarrassing. You dead girl, I'm going to kill you today, I'm going to make your life worse than death. Qin Feng was furious and stepped forward and tore off Ji Linger's clothes. At this time, Ji Linger only has underwear to cover her body. David, who had already walked downstairs, frowned slightly after hearing a scream from upstairs, and then jumped upstairs. David happened to look through the window and saw Qin Feng frantically tearing at Ji Linger's clothes. An anger rose from the bottom of David's heart, and the endless killing intent spread instantly. Qin Feng, who suddenly felt the killing intent, stopped, and when he saw David looking at him outside the window, he was startled, and hurriedly jumped away from Ji Linger. Wow. David kicked the window and jumped into the room. David. Seeing that it was David, Ji Linger, who was originally ashes as she was, suddenly had hope in his eyes, jumped up from the bed, and threw himself into David's arms. David was stunned all of a sudden. At this time, Ji Linger was only wearing underwear, so he hugged David like this, making David burst into blood. How to say David is also a normal man? In this case, if there is no response, it is simply impossible. However, David still suppressed his cranky thoughts and pulled a sheet from his body. You better wrap your body first. When David said this, Ji Linger reacted and hurriedly took the sheets and wrapped herself. And the wolf outside heard the sound of the broken window and hurriedly kicked the door open. Uncle Wolf, it's him, he's David. Qin Feng pointed at David, and his eyes were full of resentment. The wild wolf glanced at David, with disdain in his eyes. Just a hairy boy, can he be your opponent? The wild wolf couldn't believe it. He had to know that Qin Feng was also a strong leader among the younger generation in Kyoto. How could he not even be able to beat David? Uncle Wolf, you can't underestimate him. This kid killed Zhang Zheng in one move. I'm not his opponent. Qin Feng reminded the wolf. HMPH, that Zhang Zheng has a false reputation, and I can slap him to death. Just like him, he still dares to be a teacher. The wolf obviously looked down on the Zhang Zheng. Chapter 510. Yes, then how can Zhang Zheng compare with Uncle Lang, who is a great master? Qin Feng felt that he had said the wrong thing, and hurriedly changed his words. Now Qin Feng relies on this wild wolf. He does not dare to offend the wild wolf. Even though he is the eldest young master of the Qin family, Qin Feng must respect the great masters in the family. Boy, kneel down and apologize now. I may make your death a little more pleasant, or I will make your life worse than death. As the wolf said that, the momentum on his body suddenly rose, and the momentum of coercion instantly filled the entire room. Qin Feng only felt a suffocation in his heart, and it became difficult to breathe. Ji Linger felt this pressure. Her face was pale, her eyes were wide open, her mouth grew, and she could hardly breathe. Seeing this, David gently pulled Ji Linger's hand with one hand, and a pure spiritual power entered Ji Linger's body. Ji Linger instantly felt a warm current flowing through the whole body, and suddenly felt a lot more comfortable. The wild wolf put away his momentum and looked at David coldly. David, with Uncle Wolf here, even if you have 3 heads and 6 arms, you can't escape, so now you kneel down and apologize. Qin Feng said to David proudly. When Ji Linger saw that Qin Feng described herself as David's woman, her face flushed and she secretly glanced at David. David looked indifferent and smiled coldly. If you have that ability, you can give it a try. As soon as the voice fell, David's figure suddenly disappeared. Everyone was stunned, and then Qin Feng felt a dangerous aura coming, instinctively wanted to dodge, but it was too late. I saw David kick Qin Feng's lower body, and then there was a cracking sound. Qin Feng's face flushed instantly, and his whole body directly clamped his legs. What? A scream that cut through the sky came from Qin Feng's mouth. Seeing Qin Feng like that, the 2 masters of the Qin family unconsciously covered their fatal places with their hands. The wild wolf couldn't help but tremble, but he didn't react for a while. By the time he reacted, David had already returned to his original position. Qin Feng, Qin Feng. The wild wolf looked at Qin Feng and kept shouting. Looking at the bottom of Qin Feng, the blood has already been poured out, and the whole person is considered a waste. I don't know if he can still be a man. Wolf, Uncle Wolf, kill him. The severe pain made Qin Feng almost speechless. Okay, wait, I will avenge you. The wolf turned and glared at David, but there was a hint of excitement in his heart. Now that Qin Feng is abolished, after killing David, Ji Yulinger will become his own. Boy, take your life. The wild wolf punched David, but he didn't use all his strength, because in this small room, if he exerted all his strength, the whole house might collapse, but he was not afraid. He was afraid that Ji Yulinger would also follow suffer. Facing the wild wolf's punch, David's face was indifferent. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the wild wolf's fist. At this time, the wild wolf's fist was only 2 punches away from David, but it was this distance that prevented him from advancing at all. This sudden change made Qin Feng, who almost fainted, stunned. He knew that this wild wolf was a great master. How could it be possible that David had caught this punch so lightly? You only have this ability, and you want my life. David raised the corner of his mouth, his eyes full of disdain.